You all are critically important to this election because you all voted one way in 2016 and are reversing it in 2020. There are 9 of you who voted for Donald Trump and in this election will be voting for Joe Biden. There are 4 of you as of now who voted for Hillary Clinton and are switching and are voting for Donald Trump this time. So we'll get into the explanation of why you've done that in a minute. But I want to know first, what keeps you awake at night? Is there any national problem that scares you so much that it actually causes you to lose sleep?
COVID.
We got 2 people for COVID. We got 3 people for COVID.
Management of COVID.
Let's do it. Let's do one at a time. Kimray, why does COVID keep you awake at night?
Because we're not using science to make decisions, and that scares me to death.
Carol, you're nodding your head. Tell me why.
Well, I just feel like there's so many smart people in the United States of America. Why can't we come up with a plan? It's just so flabbergasting.
Elaine, are you afraid of getting sick?
Yes, sir, I am. And the reason is because I'm over 65. My mother's 93 and my husband is 72. Both of them have brain cancer. So there needs to be management of the disease, and there's not.
I would say that the president keeps trying to make it an irrelevant issue, that it's not a big deal. But, you know, like Elaine, I've had cancer twice. I'm a colon and breast cancer survivor. My husband has diabetes. And even though we're both young, we both don't want to get COVID.
Okay, now I want to move on to the election itself. There was an excellent segment for this. Please give me a word or phrase to describe this election. One word or phrase. And I'm going to do the same thing, which is I'm going to call on you so that everyone doesn't speak over each other. A word or phrase to describe this election. Cheryl, I'm going to start with you.
Electric.
Brittany.
Circus.
Octavia, word or phrase to describe this election.
Exhausting.
Mark.
Unprecedented.
Alan.
Disgraceful.
Madeline.
Joke.
Barbara.
Contentious.
Kimray.
Malignant.
Steve.
Chaotic.
Julie.
Scary.
Carol.
Very distressing.
Elaine.
Dangerous.
And David.
Whirlwind.
Who or what do you blame in a sentence for the description that you gave about the election right now? Brittany, who or what do you blame for our political system the way it is?
Honestly, I blame us, people, because that's where it starts. I mean, we're the ones who put them in office to begin with, and not just from a presidency standpoint, but from your Senate, your judges. It starts with the local and then, you know, rises up. So I blame us.
I think it's mainly just, it's kind of a mixture of the president and the people. I think we just need to come together as a country. And when you have a leader that's name calling people, just very rude things, that's just stirring up the melting pot for a contentious election.
Okay, if Trump wins, I definitely think we will see rioting. We absolutely will see cities go up in flames with protest. Because even when he was elected president, we had protests in Washington. We had the women's march. I'm like, yeah, I mean, he hadn't done anything yet. And they were already protesting.
Brittany, do you think there would be riots and violence if Trump were to win on Tuesday night?
If he wins, definitely. If not, you're probably not going to hear too much.
Right.
Why do you think there'd be violence if he wins? You're from Georgia. You're in ground zero of some of these issues. What makes you think that people will be violent if Trump is reelected?
Just like Octavia said, that there was rioting already the last election before he even got into the office. So now, even now with the pandemic, on top of him being reelected and all of the other, the issues with the systematic racism, yeah, I think that it's definitely going to be violent. It's Georgia, not just Georgia, but definitely all over.
Frank, I think it's incumbent upon the candidates to be leaders, either Trump or Biden. If they win, if they lose, to call for peace and calm. If Trump says, all right, Proud Boys do this, or Biden says do this, that's going to be the worst thing that can happen. The leaders need to be on top of it.
Okay, I don't know what to do because this is an issue that I want to get into.
Okay.
The first thing I want to do, because I need to separate this, is those people who voted for Hillary Clinton and are now voting for Donald Trump, raise your hands. There should be 4 of you. Okay. I'm going to ask you why you didn't vote for Trump in 2016 and why you're voting for him in 2020.
Now, even though he's not a politician, I feel honestly, because of the economy, up to the point of when COVID occurred and all the closures occurred, I think our economy was doing well. I mean, my 401k was never better than it was to that point.
And I thought, well, even though I'm not crazy about Hillary, I'll hold my nose and vote for her. So I did. But to be perfectly honest, I am so glad she was not elected. And I have to say that I think he has done a great job at a lot of things. I mean, the economy is great. I think what he brought back companies to bring their headquarters back here and invest in the U.S. and really calling China out. I mean, I can't believe what China did, and they let their people carry that virus everywhere.
Trump at that time seemed more like a sideshow, more of a gimmicky kind of a candidate. Whereas now, you know, we have Trump actually having a track record as a politician, you know, and he's done something very novel. I mean, he's kept his promises as best he could. So, you know, I'm with that track record, I think, you know, I think he's owed a second term.
Octavia, what was your moment that you decided to vote for him?
On July 4th, he did his speech at Mount Rushmore. And one thing that I've mentioned before, I think it's really important, no matter what side you're on, you get the information from both sides. So you watch the speeches in full. You don't get just the sound bites from the news. You digest it yourself and you make your own interpretation. And I sat and I watched his speech at Mount Rushmore, and I thought it was very unifying. I thought it was very pro-America, and it was something that I thought was a very great speech. And probably 5 minutes later, I checked my email and saw my breaking news alert from the New York Times, and they described it as divisive and all these negative things about this speech that I just sat and watched myself and made my own positive interpretation for. And then that moment I said, something's up, and I think, you know, you're pushing this on me, and I need to change.
Okay, now I want to flip it around. The rest of you voted for Trump in 2016, but you are voting for Joe Biden this time.
In 2016, I was tired of lifelong politicians, and I wanted to do like Karl Rove said, throw a brick through the plate glass window and see the glass. And after about 2 years of the glass breaking, and now I'm stepping on glass every day, I want somebody who is going to bring unity to the United States so that we can, even though we disagree on issues, still be the United States of America. And Joe Biden says he's going to do that, and I'm going to put my trust in him to do that. I'm tired of stepping on glass.
Trump was the businessman. He had a history of success, and thought that was something he could, you become successful for a lot of reasons. But I thought he would carry that into the White House. And for the first 6 months, as you know, we're on the airplane, he's flying the airplane, let's give him all the support we can give him. But then the bullying, the misinformation, the lack of leadership, and calling things the way I felt they should have been called. You know, I have supported the Republicans over the years, and he has gone further and further and further away from that.
I'm a one issue person. If it wasn't for COVID, I would have gladly voted for Trump again. I thought he's done a great job on every other issue other than COVID. Trump is the better choice. I don't think Biden is a great choice for COVID, but out of the two, he is going to at least pretend to say we need to do more than we're doing.
You know, I think the straw that really broke the camel's back for me from switching from Trump to Biden was it was just the lack of disrespect that, the lack of respect really, and disrespect that he had for the late Senator John McCain. He was a war hero. I come from a long generation of people who have served in the military, and you know, you respect these people who spent their lives in the military because they've given up their lives, they've given up time away from their family. And so to see just, you know, a disregard for the man's service, and then after he had passed, they just still continue to bash the man. It's insane. And I don't want that in a leader.
I want a word or phrase to describe Congress, because the House is pretty much going to stay in the hands of the Democrats, but the Senate is very much in play. So once again, I'm going to go all the way around with everybody here. Give me a word or phrase to describe Congress. Cheryl, I'm going to start with you.
No compassion for the American people.
Brittany.
Divided.
Mark.
Also divided.
Octavia.
Oblivious.
Alan.
A Senate without a spine.
That's pretty good. Madeline.
Divided.
Barbara.
A hot mess.
Kimry.
Concerned if the majority is not held in the Senate,
Which majority?
the Republican majority.
Steve.
Dysfunctional.
Julie.
That was a good one. Chaotic.
Carol.
I would say both dysfunctional and chaotic as well.
Elaine.
Agreed. No plan
And
except
David.
for their own. To let people without money from July the 31st till now is preposterous.
And David.
Out of touch.
Yeah.
So this is a really, really bad evaluation from virtually all of you. How are we going to fix Congress?
You need new people up there. You really do. I mean, is it so hard for anyone on either side of the aisle to just pick up the phone and call a colleague from another state, another party, and just say, let's sit down at the table and talk real issues? That's the only way you're going to get things done up in Washington.
Yeah, I agree with the term limits thought process. You know, I mean, I think the original purpose of the representatives was to serve 5 or 10 years and then kind of go back to your normal lives. You know, it was more of an agrarian society at that time. But, you know, here we're not having that. We got, 30, 40 continuous service by a single politician. So, nothing gets done. It's more about raising money and, enriching themselves at our expense.
By show of hands, how many of you support term limits? Wow. If that's not an indictment, I don't know what is. I hope the politicians watch this. That's pretty strong, y'all. Okay, guys, we talked about the candidates. We talked about the issues. We're going to end by focusing on the future. We saw in the first debate, and we see it every day in the campaign ads and the rallies and the comments that the candidates make about each other. How important is respect and civility in politics right now? Should it be a priority, or is this just simply what candidates will do and we shouldn't be concerned about it?
Simply put, we need a lot less of Washington politics and a more attitude like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. We need
that would be nice, wouldn't it?
We need to check on each other. Literally, I was at a meeting the other day with someone, and literally just the first question, how are you? That's what we need to be asking each other. We are all struggling. We're all going through this. And if we can all come through together, not just as Republicans, not just as Democrats, but as Americans, that's how you make America stronger.
Right.
But it starts with us, right? I don't think it's a top-down solution. If we don't start in our local communities, I fear we are going to just continue to struggle.
So Octavia, I need a solution here. How do we reunite the country if the politicians are so divided themselves?
I think, as everybody said, it starts with us. It starts with us being able to get over ourselves, get over our feelings, and face facts, and being willing to have a conversation where the other person on the other side may not agree with you. I think we've lost the ability to do that. We've lost the ability to accept the fact that somebody can not agree with me, and we can still be okay with each other after the conversation. I think once we get to a place where we can just understand that we're not going to agree with each other, but it's okay, and life is still going to go on, I think we're going to start to get a little better.
So everybody have a wonderful Sunday. And please, I beg of you, have a peaceful election day, election evening. Be patient. And in fact, there is nothing more important than civility and decency and mutual respect.
Absolutely.
If we lose that, then we have lost our country.